really hate having to be negative in reviews, but sometimes you just have to talk about the brutal truth. Luckily, today's review is not one of those instances. I get to talk about something that is in my camera bag that is actually one of my absolute favorite tools, no matter what I'm doing, whether it be photo, whether it be video, whether it just be for fun. And that is the DJI Mini 2. It's been out for over a year. The DJI Mavic 3 Pro, Cine, whatever it is, it just dropped. But that means that prices are dropping on drones like the Mini 2. And that's why I want to talk to you today about it, is because I think that this is the best starter drone for somebody looking to get cinematic footage. So like I said, pound for pound, ounce for ounce, dollar for dollar, I feel like the DJI Mini 2 is the best beginner consumer drone for cinematic footage. This drone gets you 4K at 30 frames per second. And if you throw in ND filters like these Skyreets, you then take your footage to a whole new level. This package actually came with an 8, a 16, a 32, 64 is currently on it because, as you see, it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day, a UV filter, and then a variable ND filter as well. I mentioned the Fly More combo, and I highly recommend that if you're starting out, because if you get just the drone, one battery, and the controller, you're always having to charge the battery. You're having to charge the battery in the drone, so you're not able to be out getting footage, practicing, having fun. So with the Fly More combo, you get the drone, you get the controller, and then you get, with the Fly More combo, you get 3 batteries. You see I've labeled my batteries and kind of changed them so I know which ones are charged and which ones aren't. And you get the charging hub. One thing that I love about this charging hub, if you plug something into the USB outlet here, you end up being able to charge something like your cell phone or a smaller device that uses USB to charge. Out of the box, it's ready to fly, minus a little bit of charging for all the devices. The controller, I love the size of this controller. If you look here, you can see that the joysticks actually get put inside the controller, so you're not breaking them off, you're not losing them. The Fly More combo does, FYI, come with an extra set of these, among other things. And it's very responsive, and you've got 3 different modes. I like to keep mine in Cine mode, that way I can get the smoothest footage possible. But you've also got normal mode if you need to go a little faster. And on those days where you kind of forget how much battery life you have and it starts beeping at you, you've got sport mode to get back a lot quicker. It doesn't have obstacle avoidance, except for on the bottom. It does pick up on when the ground is getting closer or an object is getting closer to the bottom of the drone. But that's why you also keep visual line of sight on this thing. It is a smaller drone, so like on a day like today, it will move around a little bit, but the GPS lock and sync on this is absolutely phenomenal, and that gimbal keeps the footage absolutely nice and smooth and steady. One thing to remember with any kind of technology, the loudest voices are usually the most negative. If you go out there, you're going to find a lot of negative reviews on DJI because there's geo-lock, drones fly off, the gimbal breaks, something like that. But I guarantee if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that those people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not doing a pre-flight checklist. They're not making sure that they calibrate the compass. They're not updating their home location every time they fly. They're not waiting for the GPS lock to make sure that they have plenty of satellites to be able to lock onto that drone and keep it where you want it to. They're not paying attention to where they can and can't fly according to the FAA. So I highly recommend that you take any of the negative reviews you see with a little bit of grain of salt and maybe just dig a little deeper. Because if you do what you're supposed to do, if you do all the pre-flight stuff, if you operate this drone the way you're supposed to, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna get great footage, and you're not gonna have very many issues. Very rarely does my drone not let me fly it. The one issue I have ever had with this drone in the 1 year of owning it was probably operator error. Last week, I was at that Peach Belt Conference tournament, and I was getting some nice cinematic footage before everybody arrived, and all of a sudden, the drone jerked. I saw it jerk in my footage, and I looked up, and I saw it was kind of moving a little weird, and I was like, what in the world just happened? So I was able to get it down without any injury, without any issue, and I noticed that I had thrown a prop. You can kind of see that these props are newer than these props there. And I was missing one prop off of a motor. And my guess is that I just didn't check my equipment before flying. I'm sure that if I had checked it, I would have noticed that one of the screws had started to back out, because I can't tell you how many hours I've flown this drone in a year, and it's just like any other mechanical item. You need to check everything, every little piece, to make sure that you're not operating equipment that just needs a little tender love and care. One of the great things about DJI is they include replacement parts for certain things. You also get enough props to change every prop on this drone. And so I was able to, using the provided micro mini screwdriver, I was able to get in there, take the screw out of the other prop that was still in there. So I took the other prop off, slapped 2 new props on there, and in just a matter of minutes, I was back and ready to go. Again, I did a calibration. I also checked all the other screws on all the other motors to make sure nobody else was backed out. And I haven't had any issues since. I've flown it probably 4 or 5 times since then in controlled situations, just to make sure that I'm not going to have an issue. And I haven't had an issue. How easy is it really to get this set up and ready to fly? Well, here's how. So there you have it. Super easy to set up and be ready to fly. Even with a calibration, I usually allow myself about an extra 5 minutes just to set up, just to be ready to go. But in reality, to be able to get that kind of footage that quickly, can't really beat it, right? So after 1 year of owning this drone, again, I couldn't recommend it more to somebody who is looking to get their first cinematic consumer drone. I absolutely love all the features that it comes with. It's got quick shots. It's got a bunch of different things that you can do to just take your footage and your videos to the next level. Would I love an Air 2S or even a 3? Absolutely. But why spend so much money on something that I may not be able to use in certain situations as easily as when I can use this? If I had to be negative for just a second about my experience with this drone, the 2 things are, because it is so light, it is susceptible to be blowing around a little bit by the wind. Now, the GPS lock does a great job of keeping it in the general location, and then you just have to be mindful and watch for where your drone is going, and then you're able to still keep it where you want it to go without taking out the camera, without taking out yourself or a small child or something. The other thing is just, it's the nature of drones, and that's the battery life. All drones, minus like the Mavic 3 out right now, they tend to have a lot shorter battery life. But with that, just again, keep mindful of how much battery life you have a flight plan in mind so that you can go up, get your footage, and then land. But occasionally you do have enough battery to go out, get the footage, and go, that's a slightly different, interesting shot. I'll try that as well. I do think that the roughly 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how hot, how cold it is, that kind of thing, I do think that that is enough for you to get the footage you want. But there are just times where you're like, I just wish I had just a little bit more. But that's consumerism. We're always wanting more. If you are in the market for your first drone and you want something that's lightweight, portable, and just easy to use, I highly recommend the DJI Mini 2. If you liked this video, I hope you'll hit that little like button down there. If you don't already, please hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm gonna go fly.